Good evening, Chinna.
Good evening.
And here we are on a very hot Friday afternoon in Mumbai. Hopefully, I don't think things will get better, but eh, yeah, it is what it is. And thank you for making time instead of enjoying your Friday evening and coming out here. At least, I've sailed in Anglo-Eastern for much of my career, and AEMTC was a huge part of my life, especially during time at land. And given your time at IMTC, I'm quite looking forward to your perspective on your interactions with the seafarers and how this conversation could perhaps be helpful in any of these seafarers who are listening to us to kind of aspire and reach out to your levels in the domain of learning and development.
Thank you. Thank you, Shankar. I hope I can do justice to your enthusiasm.
Thank you. All right. Uh, let's just begin with the official title that you have been conferred upon and break that down.
My job role, you mean?
Yes, correct.
Right. So, my title is General Manager, Competence Development and Training in Williamson Ship Management.
Okay.
Uh, the first two words, there is no need for any explanation. More
Mm,
or less, it's in line with industry standards, I believe, for most companies. Even Anglo Eastern has a general manager,
correct. Correct.
my equivalent, sort of. Uh, Talk about competence development and training is, I think, it's about the philosophy. Uh, there is a reason why we put training towards the end, and we start with the word competence. In fact, the team that I am part of is also the CDMT team.
Acha, that's what it is called.
Yes, so it's a global team. There's some of us, around half a dozen of us, the core team members, from which I'm one of the guys. Uh, so competence, as you know, is the the dream which we all chase. Uh, because the day you think you have it, you don't have it anymore because you stop looking for gaps. Uh, so competence is, in my opinion, a measure of how close the end result is to the objectives. So if the objectives are well stated and well defined, and when we measure the end results, if they're identical, then we have 100% competence, which unfortunately is not the case in the maritime industry. Some incidents continue to happen. And to my pleasure, in some places, very often the results are beyond expectations. So it's both positive as well as negative. Uh, and then comes the next word, because we talked about some gaps
Mm,
between
mm.
the end result and objectives. We also have to talk about how to bridge the gap. That's where the development comes in. And the last one is the training part, which also covers, because training in my opinion, honestly, uh, as a bit of an old-fashioned person, is incomplete without the other half, which is learning. But then I would be filling 2 pages to just write my designation. By the word learning is probably not good.
Okay, okay. And how did you even venture into this territory when you were sailing, which the company you were sailing with was training and development a key part of your circle of your growth in the when in the sailing days?
Uh, I think we all conduct a fair bit of mentoring as a minimum when we are on board. Even from my time as, I'm sure it's the same case with you, as second officer, third officer, and so on. We continue, and mentorship need not always be by the seniors for the juniors. I think mentorship happens both ways, upwards as well as downwards. It's a question of a person's ability to absorb knowledge and, of course, dispense it when necessary. So, I think training the CDNT role was a fairly natural choice for me because I've always enjoyed uh, reading, although I don't read as much as I like to nowadays. Suspect age has caught up, but I've always enjoyed reading and fairly, uh, let's say, well-formed opinions about most topics. And I'm not saying I'm an opinionated person, but I probably can express my views on a variety of topics, which I think is a plus for a trainer.
And how does your, say, an average day look like for you? You come and let's say pick a Wednesday for this conversation. An average Wednesday, how does it look for you?
Uh, so, okay, average day. In, I'm not no longer a pure trainer, unfortunately, fortunately, whatever the way, however you want to look at it. Uh, a lot of meetings happen. And we have a big team here who actually responsible for delivery of all the trainings that we deliver. So since I am not uh, both required to actively participate in training delivery, except where there is an emergency and I come in as a backup person. Mostly it's administration and uh, you know new technologies and discovering new horizons, which I actually love doing it.
What do you like about what you do?
Well, once in a while there comes this one student or one participant who expresses gratitude. Uh,
Okay.
I think every trainer lives for it, in my opinion. It happens,
Yes, correct, correct.
but it sort of nullifies all the struggles.
And in the larger scheme of things, say if you are closer to retirement and you were to look at and ruminate over your professional life, and not the sea life, but the, say, the training part of it, how do you think that would look like for you? In the
Right.
sense, where will you derive that sense of satisfaction as to the impact you have created across your working life?
Right. Uh, I think it's a very deep question. Probably asking me about whether I'm worried about my legacy. I aspire to have one. Uh, Honestly, no. Uh, I don't think I'm built that way. The kind of person who looks back and see that's the tower which has my name on it. No. What I look for is the little things that happen on nearly a daily basis, the little wins, which I always don't hesitate to celebrate. Uh, so, it, for me, the seafarer is the center of my purpose here, the average seafarer, and if a gap has been identified, how to effectively uh, close that gap by delivering
Okay.
the appropriate thing, and these. Uh, it's a little larger than shaking hands and or maybe sitting in front of or standing in front of class and delivering a lecture. Uh, I'm looking at let's say comparing between the effectiveness of between let's say instructor-led delivery versus self-learning versus webinar-based training versus gamification. So a lot of things are going on, and fortunately, I'm in a very sweet spot professionally. I have a lot of freedom to experiment, to learn. It's okay to fail, uh, and then come up with something which is optimum. It's not always a question of the latest technology. It's probably the right combination of previously existing solutions, which I'm blessed to have a good team. So yes, we celebrate a temporary success, move and identify a new quest, and just keep going.
Okay. So, I mean, okay, now it's pertinent for me to ask you, what sort of KPIs are you measured upon?
My performance, you mean? My job.
Yes, correct, correct. What are those character traits that you need to deliver on?
Right. So an example would be, of course, I can't go into all the details, but an example would be um, we have this new, let's say, VR based ship handling simulator. So me and my manager would sit and agree that this is an innovative solution. Nobody is in the industry is screaming for it, but we feel that we can give that extra edge to the average seafarer if he does a ship handling training in VR instead of a traditional simulator.
Okay,
So we sort of stick our neck out, no problem, get the equipment. And then the KPI would be, say, Chinna, when can you deliver the first ship handling course?
okay, okay. You're preparing. So, what all does it entails? I mean, I can only think of, say, the documentation and reading materials and stuff, but I'm sure there's a lot more action going on behind.
Correct. So because we are passionate about it, we are extremely uh, involved, and we take feedback very seriously.
Okay,
So that means we have a reputation to protect. We don't commit lightly. So right. So because we take our reputation very seriously, it is a completely new product with no precedent at all about what to measure against. So we it took some time for us to validate the product itself, and then we have to populate the empty application with exercises, with where each exercise gets validated again.
okay,
Then we call in active seafarers to come and evaluate and validate the product again.
okay,
So yes, a lot of work goes into it. And at the end of it, I think yes, that we crossed that milestone. So we are in business, so it's a steady program now.
okay, okay. You've been in this domain for a while now, and you must have seen, I mean, you must have seen quite a lot of people venturing into this, some staying back and growing, some staying back and or some leaving and growing elsewhere, and some even staying back and failing. So, amongst all these personalities, what do you think when you look for a personality type? One is competence, when the other is even say an attitude for that matter. What sort of attitude do you look for when you are trying to hire someone in your team or somebody is just beginning into this?
Right. Honestly, there is no right. Uh, I think that would be unfair to a lot of experienced seafarers who have really a lot of learning to give to others. Uh, the very common, basic human traits which we normally value in human beings. I think one very important requirement is accountability. So if that means we cannot have a trainer, uh, you know, delivering knowledge without verification in the first place, because I think wrong knowledge is more damaging,
Yeah.
right? Uh, but for the average aspirant, the I think, and I may be wrong on this, but the way I perceive the industry, the way it's structured, there is a hierarchy. And so the commercial guys, they normally they make all the big decisions regarding what fuel type and what vessel type and things like that. Then there is technical managers, which has marine operations, HSEQ, and call it QHSE and all that. Then there is the crewing people, and then the training people come in. So to be honest, it's my opinion that the training is at the lowest end of the food chain.
Okay.
So if people are ambitious, they want to be CEO tomorrow, then such a person would not do well as a trainer.
Okay.
Um, so they, and I think they have to have that the passion for it, and they have to be they should not be swayed by lack. So there is just to uh, a person who aspires to get into maritime training needs to have a certain passion, and he should be willing to accept the fact that his success is measured sometimes up to years later when the seafarer executes the same operation successfully. So there may be no other form of gratification other than the fact that you have delivered good quality training, right?
Okay.
That I think is the primary requisite.
Okay. Uh, I mean, you mentioned quite a couple of times. You mentioned active seafarers, and I wanted to ask, say, there are 10 CVs lying in front of you of ex-seafarers. How does one CV stand out, or which CV stand out for you in terms of when you are thinking of recruiting somebody into the team?
Right.
What should one have done while sailing to kind of be more I mean, be an attractive proposition for this role?
Um, okay. Again, with apology, we the it's difficult to take what is in the CV at face value, right? Uh,
Let's just say everyone's at least been honest enough not to touch upon their CV, and they have done what they have done.
so sorry, I think I've miscommunicated myself. I am not accusing anybody of touching upon the CVs. It's just that the with the so many AI assists, etc., with CVs, they start to look the same,
Hmm.
right? Uh, or there are really old-fashioned CVs which looks like a sea time letter. All right. We look for the basic requisites, the qualification, and the kind of trade. Normally, as I say, if you're looking for a gas hand, we look at for whether he has the right sea time. And once again, with due apology, nearly everybody writes in their CV that I have mentored my cadets on board, I have mentored, I've done this, and I've delivered some 2 hours of lectures in some course in some place while on leave and things like that. So, because the way we are structured, we are not, although we are approved by DG Shipping, uh, our primary focus is on in-house value addition, right? So, and the courses are fairly customized based on in-house procedures with specifics, etc., etc. So the knowledge levels of potential uh, employees is actually not our first concern. Our first concern is, and to be honest, if you have people who come in and 1 or 2 months later sort of put up their hand and say, I was much happier sailing, I want to go back. And so we see a wastage of our investment over the first 1 or 2 months. So we look for pointers about how much efforts has gone into preparing that CV. If a person has taken time to do his homework and he has listed his what you call skills separately, and he has tried to match them to, although what is written as a skill there may not be really that important in my consideration, because I will we start with a fair consideration for everybody. But the fact that he has taken the effort to list out the skills there, and similar other as parts of the CV, it indicates to me that he is serious to begin with. Now, if such a person, let's say I liked him or her, and 3 or 4 months later or 6 months later, the person has gone away saying some reason, I would consider that to be my failure because I could not hold on their interest. So
Okay.
not against the average applicant.
Okay. Okay. Uh, and what sort of challenges do people face in the first 6 months if they are, say, fresh out of sea?
Yes, correct. So the uh, seafarers, I think in general, are used to phenomenal short-term savings with, uh, again, to be a little blunt, a poor long-term strategy. So they, I don't know, maybe I have so much cash saved or so much property purchased every year, but now I've joined and I don't even have 500 rupees in savings over the last 3 months. That's an extremely short-term view. They don't realize that the power of compounding, which the shore-based employee actually has access to. And in my experience, I try to tell people, try to reassure them, just hang in there, grit your teeth. By the time you turn 55, you will be neutral as far as savings and net worth is concerned when you compare yourself to a seafarer, a sailing person. But people, maybe I'm not very convincing. So, so I see most very often people panic on account of finances, and then they just want to go back and they want to hear nothing once they made the decision. And
Okay.
this is a twin-edged thing, because for a person like me who has invested, let's say, 2 to 3 months of salaries, which is not
Mm,
insignificant, and initially no output is sought for a institution like us, a lot lengthy grooming period is involved. So we are gaining nothing in the first 2 3 months. We're only giving and giving and giving. And when the
okay.
person quits and goes away, it hurts.
Okay.
So a lot of employers, I think, take the safe route by saying, come to us only if you have at least 12 months experience, and which I think is not fair to freshers also. But it is what it is.
Okay. Okay. And say fresh out of sea, what sort of roles do you get into, and what is the trajectory like? Like, what is a junior engineer in this domain, and how do you become the chief engineer, sort of? So how does that work out?
Right. You mean the sailing officer's journey? That's, I think, fairly well documented. Don't need me to elaborate, right?
No, no, no. Once you get into, say, the learning domain, learning and development domain, what's
Mhm.
kind of the first role, and how does that journey look like
Right.
towards the top?
Honestly, the industry is still quite old-fashioned that way. We still look for master mariners and chief engineers. Of course, there are roles for chief officers and second engineers as well. But mostly, it's better to enter uh, learning and development domain as a master or a chief engineer, right?
And what do you? Yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
Um I will not get into the fairness of that, but some of it, I think, without any opinion on it, is because of the applicable regulations. So for somebody to become a course in charge under regulations applicable, they have to be a master mariner or chief engineer. So if somebody picked up a chief officer, they couldn't, for example, use them as a course in charge for certain courses. So in the end, they just continuously supporting that person, right?
Okay.
So I think that's the way it is. So yeah,
Um, no, sorry. I think I did not ask my question correctly. So, straight out of sea, what sort of roles do you get? And then what is the subsequent steps to grow up in this? That's
in the L&D space,
in the L&D space.
right? So in the L&D space, there are various individual like separate streams. For example, the training industry itself is at various levels. First is the pre-C institutes,
Oh, okay.
right? So these they are the ones who directly interface with fresh school pass outs, and so it can be rating courses, it can be about cadet courses, it can be about junior engineer courses. We have GME programs, DNS, and all of those things. So these guys have to be approved providers, and so they normally look for uh, master mariners or chief engineers or instructors like skill like fitters, bosun, but they also have seamanship schools and all that. Right. So the Pre-C Institute that we were talking about, Pre-C Institutes is one level. Then there are institutes which conduct post-C courses, which are modular courses, specialists like TASCO and LCHS, and then there are institutes which are conducting competency courses. So these are all places which are approved and by regulation usually prefer masters and chief engineer. And in general, uh, it's a difficult financial transition for a sailing seafarer to the shore side. So, and it's a little bit of a challenge to get a instructor approved with the faculty identification number and everything. So we tend to be a little hesitant to pick young seafarers because I think probably it's not fair to them, but a bit of experience where they tend to go away and then go through the whole process again. So usually we find trainers like older than 50 years normally going there. Uh,
Okay.
and like I said, it's not unusual.
Mm-hmm.
It's not prohibited to have a young seafarer doing it, but usually it's slightly senior ones who do it. Then there's space where like what we do, the taking care of in-house needs, value addition, and there's always some need for value addition based on internally identified needs, which is another domain where we don't have the kind of uh, approval challenges that, of course, we are an approved institute, but like I said, primarily we do in-house stuff. So there may be some scope for existing sailing staff who are looking for exposure. We are always hungry for feedback and inputs from sailing seafarers. In fact, I don't stop saying walk in and have a coffee and have a chat with us and go back our thanks,
Okay. Okay.
right? So, and also we may have opportunity to engage, let's say, for a day or 1 hour or 2 hours, or sometimes for a week for various needs.
You mean like a guest lecture of sorts?
It's not always lecture. We may need somebody to research.
Okay.
topic and develop, content. Uh, of course, we will fine tune it later,
Mm-hmm.
but we need the data, and
Okay.
there are new regulations coming out nearly by the hour now, not even by the day. So it's impossible for me or any of the faculty full time here to have first-hand experience of, because we have
Okay.
done it some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where contributions from existing actively sailing seafarers is really priceless,
Helps. Okay.
and
Okay.
we are willing to engage, yeah,
Mm.
as a, on a friendly basis, even a bit of commerce may be involved, although our budgets are not that high, but I think it's the experience which matters.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And I mean, the next point here is when you look at India in general and in the L&D domain, uh, what do you think? Where are the maximum job centers? Is it only Bombay and Delhi, or maybe Chennai to some extent, or are there other avenues that uh, people can hope to grow in the different geographies?
Well, primarily the senior level positions and the which are a little well connected to still connected to the industry. These positions still continue to be in Mumbai or Chennai, and Cochin is, I think, also because there's one company which has a big commitment there. But if you're looking at the government approved training, it's very easy to go into the website to see where the training centers are. They're all over the place and they may have openings. But if
Okay.
somebody is looking to grow,
Hmm.
then I think it's still even Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, Chennai, all these places.
Okay. And on a global level,
At a global level,
what do
uh,
you think are the hotspots?
Singapore and Dubai continue to be. Uh,
Okay. Even Dubai.
yes, yes.
Okay.
A lot of L&D happens out of Dubai. The new Abu Dhabi Maritime Training Center,
Okay.
I hear good things about them. Uh,
Okay.
I think L&D is still fairly widespread, and L&D is not always about delivering delivery of training. The gaps between competence levels and uh, expected competence level is always an ongoing. The gap analysis is an ongoing process, and we need L&D experts who will who can go in and find the right solution. For example, if I was an investment banker and I would go through statistics, I'd probably see most of the time a vessel had a collision, master was on the bridge. But so, so, so if I was to come up with a straightforward solution, let's say prohibit the master from entering the bridge and we have no collisions anymore, right? Which would be,
Let's just hope correlation has no causation there.
yeah. So we need an expert to do this. So I think the scope for L&D is tremendous. Every place wherever there is a ship management center, there is a need for an L&D guy.
Okay.
So because that's the person who does the analysis. And there's also a sort of a misconception, unfortunately, that uh, I have sailed for 20 years or I have sailed for 30 years. I know what training is all about. And so my opinion on this is as good as anybody else's opinion. I don't think it works that way. And I know a lot of people will hate me for saying this. Um, Other than the technical expertise, the the L&D person needs to understand the concept of education technology. Uh, there are n number of things which we consider before we couple a solution to a need identified. So we have to be able to go into statistics, have to have the persistence to read through pages of procedures and regulations, and all of it has to be condensed to something less than 30 words on the screen at any time. Anything more than that, the receiver is not focusing anymore. So it takes a special skill. I'm not talking about technical expertise, but technical expertise is best in the hands of HSEQ guys. Normally, these are the ones who are in tune with the language. But how to transfer that to the seafarers? The
Mm-hmm.
expertise on the transfer process, unfortunately, is I think the domain of the L&D person. And the L&D person needs to respect himself or herself in the first place before expecting any respect from the others. And this is a specialized role, and a lot of scope is there for, I think, like I said, every time, every place, wherever there is a management office, there is scope for an L&D person.
Okay, okay. Uh, I mean, you mentioned that, say long regulation has to be condensed into something very short. So that kind of triggered, and I just want to ask, are there any celebrated L&D folks, like, who kind of like minor celebrities on social media or any place?
Uh, uh, I'm I don't track that way. So if you're asking me, say social media, I'm unable to say. But a lot of illustrious seniors in the industry that there's we my predecessors as the heads of and I've had three of them in the last 26 years. Or I said 23 years because I have taken over 3 years ago. So they were all well recognized in the industry. The way you come from if you're from, I think, let's say Anglo-Eastern, they also have a lot of senior people. Uh, so they're easily available, in my opinion. They're approachable, and because they're insulated from commercial pressures of the normal handling, ship management buzz, uh, I feel that they would be very easy to talk to.
Okay,
And,
okay,
so just walk into any of those places, sit across the table and have a discussion. I think it's good.
okay, okay, all right. And what do you think is the gold standard uh, as far as L&D is concerned? One in India and second globally.
Uh, there's inevitably the debate between do we need to fly up as a seafarer all the way to a training institute, or can we do something in the self-learning and online space? Uh, Most of it definitely possible. We can optimize to some extent. Some of it is impossible. A very crude example is you can't teach a person to swim on a cell phone. You
Mm-hmm.
have to take him to a swimming pool.
Mm.
So an optimum L&D person would be able to make the right choice every single time.
Okay. I think I did not ask the question. I mean, let me rephrase my question. Like in the tech world,
Mhm.
any techie would aspire to work in, say, a Facebook or an Apple or a Microsoft or a
Right,
Netflix. What
right,
are those gold standards in this domain? Who
right,
that's
correct. So yes, if you, I think I will not prefer not to take names, but there is a fairly well recognized person, I think, who was head of Anglo Eastern's uh, training operations. I don't get the right title. Uh, I think he was in a very good position, an extremely knowledgeable person. He did very well for himself, and at the same time, I think the industry was that much richer for it. If you look for my idol personally was my one of my predecessors, Captain Yankee Sharma. Yes, actually Yashovarman Sharma, but he goes by Yankee Sharma. I think he did very well. He was, I think, at one stage he was collaborating with IIM Ahmedabad for certain programs. So, yeah, that's a good place to be.
And
Uh,
in the on a global level,
on a global level, I am aware that a few people have made the transition into certain positions in IMO after starting off as a trainer. People have found very good positions with accredited places like MCA. People have transitioned into class. They recognize like DNV, and
Mhm.
so good place to be. Um, I think my own position is fairly good also, to be honest. But no, of course I have a long way to go. I of course hope to grow in my own organization. Uh, but yeah, so I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, okay, all right. And one final question, as parting words, what would be your kind of message to the seafarers, so that one, they can, I mean, they can kind of, they know what to prepare at this stage in their life so that tomorrow they can move to this side. Over to you to market this role.
Right. So I think seafarers have to uh, prepare for the day when they make this decision, and the preparation starts on day one when they sort of pass out of cadetship. Uh, because, like I said earlier, uh, one of the primary reasons why people hesitate is because of finances. And if a person has planned well, and you can set a target, it's highly personal in nature. So somebody wants to, let's say, make the first attempt when they're 35 years old. Somebody wants to do it when they're 40 years old. But some amount of financial discipline is very necessary. Uh, Definitely, wages on the shore side are not compatible with, of course, sailing staff wages. So financial discipline is one of the first things. Second one would be to develop a habit of reading. And I know a lot of knowledge nowadays is taken through sort of YouTube style videos and things like that. But it should be remembered that the person who has produced the YouTube video has spent a lot of time, or probably has a team behind him or her, uh, gathering all the information, and they have to go through a lot of it to generate a, let's say, 15-minute video, which is
Mm,
giving you that knowledge which you consider adequate.
mm.
Uh, but in the L&D space, that's not enough. What normally we say, we advise the others amongst peers that if you have to deliver for 5 minutes, you read for 1 hour.
Okay,
And also, L&D space fights with a natural human psychological challenge, which is called as the forget curve. It's a fairly well debated topic, so I'm not going to describe what forget curve is, but the memory retention rates are fairly challenging. Uh,
okay,
so people tend to remember hardly 15% if they are lucky of what has been learned. Uh, so we have, of course, a lot of tools and technological innovations like simulators and practical exercises and things like that. But till today, the best way to learn is to teach.
okay, okay,
So uh, if a person aspires to be in a learning and L&D role, then it should be remembered that he will grow much more knowledgeable himself or herself.
Mm.
It doesn't matter. Uh, but a lot of personal growth will happen in the L&D role. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, the L&D guy or the L&D person is indispensable. In
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
the technical people may come and go. AI may take over. I don't know, but the L&D role will remain for the next 1,000 years to come.
Fantastic. Thank you. On that note, thanks a lot, Chinna, and I hope there are enough folks out there who've listened to this and kind of feel that they want to be out there teaching. And as you said, the best way to learn is to teach, and that motto inspires them. And the right folks knock on your doors, knock
Thank,
on your doors as well.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.